The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. asked government agencies to further study and make possible amendments to Executive Order number 138.
Philippine National Police Chief Police General Rodolfo Mayor Jr. approves the recommendation of PNP Internal Affairs Service to dismiss Police Master Sergeant Rodolfo Mayor Jr. from police service.
A House lawmaker opposes the call of Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri to hold a closed-door meeting to discuss the proposed charter change.
And Chinese leader Xi Jinping visits Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss resolution of the war in Ukraine.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, March 21, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Arnie Delgado.
First in the news, Department of Budget and Management Secretary Amena Pangandaman divulged that the completion of the study on the full devolution of certain functions of the executive branch to local government units could be finished in 2 months. This after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. asked concerned agencies to further study the Executive Order number 138 regarding the full devolution of functions. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has ordered the Budget Department, Department of the Interior and Local Government, Finance Department, and National Economic and Development Authority to study Executive Order number 138 for possible amendments and to determine what national government functions should be devolved to local government units as a result of the Supreme Court's mandamus ruling. In a meeting in Malacanang, President Marcos Jr. discussed the roadmap extending the transition to full devolution from the national government to LGUs.
The President po gave an instruction to further study the responsibilities, projects, and programs na kaya po gawin ng mga LGUs at ang iiwan po natin sa national government.
The budget chief said the completion of the said study could be finished in 2 months.
Mabilis lang po to, siguro in just 2 months, baka meron na po kaming study and we are able to show this to the President already. And if makapag-present na rin po tayo kung kailangan po talaga natin i-amend yung EO 138.
According to Secretary Pangandaman, there are LGUs that cannot enforce yet some of their big-ticket programs. EO number 138 was issued to support the efficient implementation of the SC ruling on the Mandanas-Garcia case and strengthen the autonomy and empowerment of LGUs. Under the Mandanas ruling, the national government is mandated to expand the share of LGUs in tax collection. On the other hand, LGUs are required to handle the responsibility of operating social services like agriculture, connectivity, and health within their jurisdictions. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
4 more suspects in the killing of former Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo surrendered to the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP. Dante Amento reports.
Justice Secretary Crispin Rimulya said that almost all of those involved in the killing of former Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo are now under the authorities' custody. 4 more suspects surrendered to the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP.
We're still looking for 3 more people siguro. 2 or 3 people more besides them. Pero the attack team, almost everybody's accounted for already.
They are also former military men. The suspects will be turned over to the National Bureau of Investigation or NBI tomorrow for their affidavits as part of the investigation. The DOJ has yet to give details on their specific participation in the crime, but they are allegedly major players. Meanwhile, Rimulya disclosed that Congressman Arnie Teves contacted him yesterday through text. Teves allegedly wants to talk to him.
I don't want to speak to somebody na walang present na ibang tao. Kasi I don't want words twisted. So if I talk to him, it will be in front of other people. Si Congressman Arnie Teves texted me. He wants to talk to me. But I haven't given an answer because we're still busy doing what we're doing.
For now, the DOJ has no information yet on the whereabouts of Congressman Teves. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the House Committee on Ethics and Privileges has wrapped up its motu proprio inquiry on the failure of Negros Oriental 3rd District Representative Rodolfo Teves Jr. to return to the country despite his expired travel clearance authority. According to the Ethics Committee, it has voted on their recommendation to be discussed in the plenary. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
Negros Oriental 3rd District Representative Rodolfo Teves Jr. still failed to comply with the ultimatum given by the House Ethics Committee. Committee Chair and Co-op NATCO Party List Representative Limon Esparez did not disclose the committee's recommendation. The lawmaker explains that the recommendation still needs to be discussed and voted on in the plenary.
The committee has reached a conclusion by a voting of by unanimous voting, and we will transmit and submit our report at once and recommendation to the plenary for appropriate action.
The committee chair reiterated that they have given Kong Teves enough time to respond and comply. Teves went on a medical trip in the United States and had a travel clearance from February 28 to March 9. However, the lawmaker refused to return to the country amid grave security threat against him and his family and the allegations he is currently facing. Meanwhile, Esparras also clarified why Kong Teves needs to physically attend hearings.
The provision on the House Rules of Section 990, no, na pag hindi ka allowed, no, by the House, yung travel outside mo, you are deemed absent. Kung absent ka, hindi ka allowed din na mag-join, no, sa mga activity dito sa House.
The report of the Ethics Committee will be forwarded to the Committee on Rules and will be deliberated by the plenary. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Philippine National Police Chief Police General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. approved the recommendation of PNP Internal Affairs Service to dismiss Police Master Sergeant Rodolfo Mayor Jr. from police service. Mayo is the owner of the MPD Lending Incorporated, where 990 kilos of shabu worth 6.7 billion pesos were confiscated. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
Philippine National Police Chief Police General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. has approved the dismissal from police service of Police Master Sergeant Rodolfo Mayor Jr. This is in connection to the 990 kilos of shabu worth 6.7 billion pesos confiscated by the authorities in his lending business in Santa Cruz, Manila last October 8, 2022. Police Colonel Jean Fajardo said Mayo was found guilty of administrative case of grave misconduct and conduct unbecoming of an officer.
Yung dismissal order po ni Sergeant Mayo po ay for implementation na po after po mapirmahan po ng ating Chief PNP yung kanyang decision dismissing him from PNP service sa noong March 6, 2023 po.
Mayo is currently detained in Camp Bagong Diwa, Taguig over his criminal case for violation of Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. Colonel Fajardo added that because of his dismissal from the service, Police Master Sergeant Mayo's benefits will also be forfeited.
Wala po siyang matatanggap lahat po ng kanyang privileges nung siya po ay police. Definitely po ay wala po siyang matatanggap ton. Yung any retirement benefits po ay forfeited po yun.
Mayo's arrest prompted DI Undersecretary Benhar Abalos Jr. to cleanse the rank of the PNP and call for the courtesy resignation of the third-level officers. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Amid the debates on the proposed charter change, a House lawmaker opposes the call of Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri to hold a closed-door meeting to discuss the issue. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
House Committee on Constitutional Amendments Chairperson and Cagayan de Oro 2nd District Representative Rufus Rodriguez disagrees with the call of Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri to tackle the proposed charter change behind closed doors. The lawmaker says they must be transparent in discussing the Constitution being the fundamental law of the land. Earlier, Zubiri confirmed that he asked Senator Robin Padilla, who heads the Senate Committee on Constitutional Amendments, to postpone the hearing with congressmen as part of tradition of not inviting incumbent House lawmakers as resource persons due to interparliamentary courtesy. The Senate leader adds holding an executive session with House members would also avoid grandstanding of lawmakers. But Rodriguez says Zubiri should trust his colleagues in the lower house to follow decorum. And while he agrees that both chambers should observe parliamentary courtesy, Rodriguez argues that what is not courteous is disinviting a colleague, maintaining that the Senate should have proceeded with the hearing. Zubiri has yet to comment on Rodriguez's latest remarks. Despite the differences, Leyte 4th District Representative Richard Gomez believes there is no conflict between the two chambers of Congress. He hopes that proponents from the Senate and the House will be given a chance to discuss its versions of proposed amendments to the Charter.
Nagulat kami nung nagsalita nga si Senator Zubiri. It is a collegial body that decides kung matutuloy ba or hindi. It is not dictated by one person only. So yung sinasabi nilang conflict, I don't think there is a conflict between the Senate and the House of Representatives when it comes to Chacha. Siguro meron lang differing sa ideas, no, kung gusto ba talaga nila matuloy at hindi.
Camarines Sur 2nd District Representative Elray Villafuerte also suggested to Zubiri to proceed with a public hearing scheduled this week. Villafuerte believes holding a closed-door session would only fuel what he calls misplaced public suspicion that lawmakers advocating for Chacha have hidden political agenda behind the move. Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Hontiveros confirmed that majority of senators are not that interested in talking about Chacha during their caucus held Monday night.
Gaya ng sinabi ni SP Migs, not open to discuss it, but responsibilidad namin yun kapag either may committee report from the House or may mga kasamang nag-file ng bill, dadaan yon sa regular legislative process. Ako po, hindi po ako pirma. Tingin ko po ang Chacha ay hindi kailangan sa ngayon.
Padilla's Senate panel has canceled the next committee hearing on Chacha scheduled tomorrow, March 22, and will call for an executive session instead. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God. And for our news abroad, Russian President Vladimir Putin has welcomed China's leader in Moscow in his first trip abroad after being re-elected. Mavian Dog will tell us why live. Maeve?
As China's President Xi Jinping arrived at the Kremlin on Monday as part of an attempt to portray Beijing as a potential peacemaker in Ukraine. This just days after the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for the Russian leader for war crimes in Ukraine. Putin reportedly welcomed China's proposals for a resolution of the war in Ukraine with high respect and said Russia is open to talks and cooperation in the international arena. The rector of the Institute of Political Studies in Moscow, Sergei Markov, however, said the main agenda of their meeting was not the Ukraine war, but to set up infrastructure for an economic relationship. Meanwhile, the United States criticized Mr. Xi's visit to Russia, suggesting that the timing provided Moscow with diplomatic cover to commit further crimes. China's 12-point proposal to solve the Ukraine crisis was largely dismissed in the West as a scheme to buy Russia to regroup and solidify their grip on their occupied territory. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby has called for the Chinese president to use his influence to convince Putin to withdraw his troops and to speak to Ukraine's president about the impact of the war. Back to you, Kat.
Thank you, Mavian Dog, reporting live from Australia. As hospitals catch up on surgeries post-pandemic, demand for blood and plasma supplies is increasing, particularly for donors with A positive, B positive, O positive, and O negative blood types. Australian Red Cross Lifeblood is looking for 3,600 people to donate blood this week to prepare ahead of the upcoming holidays and ensure a continuous supply of blood and plasma. According to Lifeblood Executive Director Kath Stone, although they have more donors now than in the past 10 years, the demand for all blood groups is rising, especially for the O negative type. O negative has the universal blood type, which is often used for patients with unknown blood type and is stocked in ambulances and rescue helicopters for emergency cases. In addition, Ms. Stone said that fewer than 7% of the Australian population is O negative, making it one of the rarer blood types. But because of its versatility, it makes up 16% of the blood ordered by hospitals. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Kath. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. Officials from the Municipal Environment and Natural Resources, together with other local government agencies in El Nido, Palawan, are on high alert as they closely monitor the area for any signs of oil spill contamination. However, according to their assessment, no oil leakage has been detected in their jurisdiction so far. Alan Manansala will tell us why.
As of now, there have been no indications of an oil spill in the waters surrounding the town of El Nido in Palawan. This is based on the site inspection done by the personnel of the Municipal Environment and Natural Resources Office or MENRO, the Office of Municipal Agriculture or OMA, and the Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office or MDRRMO. Despite the absence of any oil spill threat, authorities remain vigilant as there is a chance that nearby coastal barangays, particularly Mabini, New Ibahay, Villa Paz, and Sibaltan, may be impacted. As such, monitoring efforts are ongoing to ensure the safety and well-being of these communities. The local government of El Nido is also gathering additional materials to provide improvised spill booms that will be used as a shield in case the oil spill reaches their area.
Continuous po ang monitoring and then information right po ng barangay para po doon at kung ano yung materials pa na kulang na kailangan natin ay pinoprovide po ng, ng LGU at marami naman po tumugon ng mga kababayan natin na magbigay po ng mga empty bottles at saka yung mga used clothes po.
And with the news that the nearby town of Taytay, Palawan is affected, the LGU is prompted to intensify their preparations for any potential impact of the oil spill in their area.
Ang possibility po kasi na tinitingnan namin na maapektuhan yung Mabini and yung Ibahay. Pero sa Mabini po talaga, kung meron po talaga, may marine protected area po yun sila, napakaganda o kami dyan ng area nila. So yun yung po tinitingnan namin, close monitoring po talaga kami dyan.
Alan Manansala, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippines may ask the help of the neighboring countries in addressing the oil spill in Mindoro, according to an official of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN. Meanwhile, the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity emphasized the important role of the Verde Island Passage that is also being threatened by the oil slick. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
In 2014, the members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, already signed a Memorandum of Understanding on an ASEAN cooperation mechanism for joint oil spill preparedness and response. According to Dr. Teresa Mondita Lim, the Executive Director of the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity, through the MOU, the Philippines may ask the help of other ASEAN countries in addressing oil spill in Mindoro.
If their resources will be available nagtutulungan. Pwedeng pumunta sila mismo yung mag-a-assist, ganon. So, tingin ko napakahalaga din yung regional cooperation kasi nga pinag-uusapan ngayon ASEAN centrality, nagli-lead tayo as a region. So, ito yung magandang opportunity rin para i-engage sila to address itong mga ganitong klase ng disasters.
Dr. Lim said that the Verde Island Passage, or VIP, plays a vital role as the center of marine biodiversity in the world.
Mahalaga siya not only for the Philippines but also sa ASEAN at sa buong mundo.
Oil slick was already sighted in Verde Island that is located in the Verde Island Passage. Dr. Lim noted the VIP should be protected because it contains the most number of shore fish and coral species in the world.
Resilient siya sa coral bleaching. Pero sa mga man-made na yung mga oil spill na ganito, kumbaga, nag-a-add ka pa ng pressure. Meron na, nag-absorb na nga siya ng climate change impacts. Tapos dadagdagan mo pa ng oil spill. So nagkakaroon ng na-aggravate ngayon yung destruction. And syempre, pagka ganun, pagka patong-patong yung threats dun sa area, mas mahihirapan siyang mag-recover.
According to the former director of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BFAR, VIP is an area for the production of different kinds of fish.
Ang importance niya hindi lang sa panghuhuli ng isda, kundi pagpaparami ng isda bilang major supplier ng mga similya at saka mga plankton and everything else.
Environment and Natural Resources said that they will coordinate with ASEAN countries to help mitigate the impact of oil spill. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Surviving with 2 votes of no confidence, the French pension reform pushed by President Emmanuel Macron's government will now be reviewed by the Constitutional Court to become a law, causing frustration to some politicians and French workers. Ia de Vera tells us why.
President Macron's decision to bypass the lower house and push through the retirement age from 62 years old to 64 has brought tension to France, pushing workers to go on the streets and protest. On Monday, March 20, lawmakers tabled the motions to oppose the proposed pension system. The first motion had 278 votes in favor out of 287 needed, and the second motion, tabled by the far-right's National Rally Party, failed to pass. With both motions narrowly failed, the bill will now become a law in the coming days. As soon as the result was out, some lawmakers immediately demanded Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne's resignation, while far-right's group will file a request to examine the bill. Lawmaker Mathilde Panot said the French government does not have any legitimacy and dead in the eyes of the French. Moreover, it caused frustrated French workers to protest on streets for several days and said that they will continue to pressure Macron's government. Dozens of young protesters hold a protest in Les Invalides on Monday, putting rubbish bins on fire to show opposition to pension reform. Ia de Vera, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
More ambitious action is needed to fight global climate change, according to a recent report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Jane Robles explains why.
A wide array of options to adapt to global change have been proposed by a panel of UN scientists, according to their synthesis report yesterday. The report, which summarizes multiple IPCC assessments from the past, states that a livable, sustainable future would be secured if more ambitious action is taken, the chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, Hoo-Seung Lee, said. To do so, the report stated the requirement of limiting the global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius to reduce carbon emissions to nearly 50% by 2030, as well as conserving 30 to 50% of the world's land, fresh water, and ocean. A climate professor from Curtin University, Peter Newman, has stated that developed countries need to reduce their carbon emissions, while developing countries need to prepare for disasters to come. Meanwhile, Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has called for well-developed countries for more efforts and push to meet carbon neutrality by 2040, earlier than 2050, to defuse the climate time bomb. Jane Wobles, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kat Maraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening.
Our Kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time through the social media accounts of Members Church of God International.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Hosea, chapter 14, verse 9, it says, "Who is wise, and he shall understand these things, prudent, and he shall know them. For the ways of the Lord are right, and the just shall walk in them, but the transgressors shall fall therein." Those are the reasons behind the news, March 21, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Arnie Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people, we give glory to God.